In this video, I will be explaining the functions lesson. So when we talk about the functions, I'll speak about input, process, and output in simple words. Any function has an input, then it has some kind of a relationship, then you have an output. If we input 5 and the relationship is to add 3, our output is 8. In functions, the input, I will call it as the domain. The relationship, I will call it as the function. Output, I will call it as the range. So you have to know the meaning of the words domain, function, and range. In simple English, I would call this as the input, relationship, and the output. If I input x, my output is y equals to fx. That means x is a function of f. I will input 2, 3, 11, 0, minus 5 to the relationship, or I will call it as the process, multiplied by 3 and add 5. So every input I will multiply by 3 and I will add 5. So when I input 2, I multiply it by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And when I add 5, it becomes 11. When I input 3, multiplied by 3, it's 9. Add 5, it's 14. I will input 3, multiplied by 3, so it's 33. Add 5, it becomes 38. I will input 0, multiplied by 3. Add 5, the answer is 5. When I input minus 5, I multiply it by 3. Add 5, I will get minus 10. So function is a process where you have an input and an output. Input, I will call it as the domain. Output, I will call it as the range. The input, which is the domain, is from minus 2 to plus 2. You have to input these values into fx equals 3x minus 2. So when you input the values to the function 3x minus 2, your output is from minus 8 to plus 4. So the input we call it as the domain, the output we call it as the range. How do you input? You input minus 2 into the function x. So it's 3x, which is 3 times minus 2 minus 6 minus 2. It becomes minus 8. You input minus 1, then it's minus 3 minus 2. It is minus 6. Sorry, it's minus 5. When you input 0, it's 0 minus 2, it's minus 2. When you input 1, it's 3 times 1, it's 3 minus 2, it's 1. When you input 2, it's 3 times 2, it's 6 minus 2, it's 4. Next example, your domain, which is the input, is from minus 1 to plus 9, where you have to input the values to the function 3x minus 2 whole thing squared. And fx is, which is the output, varies from plus 4 to 625. So if you input the value minus 3 into this, minus 3 into plus 3, it's minus 9, minus 2, it's minus 11, whole thing squared is 121. If you input 9 here, 9 times 3, it's 27, minus 2, it's 25, and when you square it, it's 625. So the input values varies from minus 3 to plus 9, while the output varies from plus 4 to 625. So this is another way that you can show a function. How do you show it? You can say fx map to 5 minus 3x. So this is another function. You're asked to find f input minus 1. So what do you mean by this? Input is equal to x, which is equal to minus 1. They simply say, here you know what, how do we write? Fx. So x need to be equal to minus 1. So x means the input. What are you going to input? You are going to input minus 1. So where are you going to input? You are going to input it into this function. So it's 5 minus 3. Within brackets, we are going to write it as minus 1. So our output is 8. So output, which you can show it as fx, is equal to 8. Look at this again. If they say f within brackets minus 1, what does this mean? F x is equal to minus 1. In other words, they say you to input minus 1. When you input minus 1 into this function, you simplify it. Your output is 8. Therefore, the fx is equal to 8. Look at this. The function is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. They ask you to input minus 1 into the function. Input minus 1 into the function. So when you simplify it, your answer is minus 40. When you input minus 1 cubed is minus 1. 3 times minus 1 squared. Minus 1 squared is plus 1. 1 times minus 3, it's minus 3. Here you have minus 1 times 6, which is minus 6. And you subtract 4. So altogether we have minus 40. Another function. Fx equals 3x plus 2 divided by 5. Find f input minus 4. The value of g is such that fg equals to 7. So we will keep part 2 aside for the moment. Let's start with part 1. You have to input minus 4 into the function. So where can you input minus 4? To x. X is the place where you can input values. So 3 times minus 4 added to 2 divided by 5. Your answer is minus 2. The next part. The value of g such that if g is equal to 7. So what is this g? F g. You are going to input g. When you input g to the function, what happened to the function? The function gets equal to 7. When you input g to the function, the function is equal to 7. Let's work it out. You input g, output is 7. Then when you input g into the function, output becomes 7. Fx is the output, x is the input. You're going to input g, the output became 7. Now we are going to use a bit of algebra and simplify to find what's g. Let's multiply both sides by 5. Then 35 equals 3g plus 2. Now bring the 2 into other side. Then it becomes 33. Now you divide both sides by 3. Then the value of g is 11. In other words, what does it mean? If you input g into the function, your output is 7. That means if you input 11 into the function, 11 multiplied by 3, 33. You add 2, which is 35, divided by 5, it is 7. So your output became 7. Function is x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals plus 3. Solve fx equals 0. What does it say? Now fx means what? We know fx means the output, right? So the output is equal to what? 0. So here is the output, here is the output. Fx is the output. So output should be equal to now 0. When output is equal to 0, we are going to factorize the quadratic equation. And we have the factors x minus 1 and x minus 3. And you are going to solve for it, which is x equals to 1 and x equals to 3. When you input x equals to 1 to this function, output becomes 0. When you input x equals to 3 to this function, output becomes 0. In this slide, I have given you a practice question. So we have 3 functions here. First function is a function of, x is a function of f. And the next one is x is a function of g. And the third function is x is a function of x. So you are asked to find the value of f minus half. Nextly, g minus 5, h minus 3. Also, they say that hx equals 512. Find the value of x. Thereafter, they say solve the equation twice fx plus gx equals to 0. Fx equals 2x minus 1. Find the value of f minus half. So what you have to do here, you're going to input minus half into the function fx equals 2x minus 1. So you input the value to the x, which is minus half, such your output is minus 2. Gx equals x squared plus 1. You're asked to find g minus 5. To the function gx, which is x squared plus 1, we need to input minus 5. When you input minus 5 to x, that is minus 5 squared is 25, plus 1, it is 26. So gx is equal to 26. hx is equal to 2 to the power x. We have to input minus 3 to x. That is hx equals 2 to the power minus 3. Output is equal to 1 over 8. In next question, you can see hx is equal to 512. Such output is 512. What we have to find here is the input. So 2 to the power x equals 512, which the function is 2 to the power x, and that function is equal to an output of 512. So for you to get the output 512, you have to work out the value of input. So I'm working a bit of integers here. 2 to the power x is equal to 2 to the power 9, which x is equal to 9. Thereafter, you're asked to solve the equation 2fx plus gx equals to 0. So the function fx need to be multiplied by 2 and then added to the function gx. And the output is equal to 0. Function fx is 2x minus 1. The function is multiplied by 2. And then let's add it to the function gx, which is x squared plus 1. When you simplify the brackets, your answer is x squared plus 4x minus 1 equals to 0. You can solve for x where x equals to 0.24 and x equals to minus 4.24. Fx equals x cubed minus 63. You're asked to input 2 to this function. And also you're asked to input k to this function. When you input k to this function, your output is equal to 1. Let's work out the sum. First part I have not done, that is to input 2. You can work it out. But I will input k to the function fx. So where I see x, I am going to replace k because k is my input. So it's going to be fk equals to k cubed minus 63. But when I input k, my output is equal to 1. Now I am going to solve the function. K cube equals to 63 plus 1. K cube is equal to 64. Whereas k is equal to 4. So when you input 4, your output here is 1 to the function fx, which is equal to x cubed minus 63. So I'm going to continue with the next presentation. I'll be teaching an inverse of a function.